Hello everyone, we've been driving this 2026 Grand Cherokee L with the all-new Hurricane 4-cylinder engine under the hood. For the past week, we've taken it on a 500-mile road trip. Definitely check out that video. And now let's go take it on a final impressions drive for this week. This is the driving focus video. If you want to check out a review, definitely have a look at that. We'll talk about the engine, gearbox, and driving impressions. So we have a 8-speed ZF automatic gearbox in this one, quasi lift air suspension, adaptive air suspension. We have the low-speed transfer keys as well, lots of different drive modes. We also are getting this new engine here. This is the all-new Hurricane 4-cylinder engine. Pretty interesting motor. We have 324 horsepower, 332 pound-feet of torque, really strong internals as well, and this new turbulent jet ignition system that allows for some pretty interesting stuff. So we have 2 spark plugs per cylinder, and this allows for this sort of pre-chamber combustion process to help improve flow. We're also getting a both direct and port injected engine. Well, let's go head off. We'll pop it into sport mode and have a little look at this acceleration off the bat. So off the bat, this is a very potent engine. You can't say it's slow because it really never feels actually slow. It has a lot of torque. That torque's available from around 2,600 RPM all the way up to like 5,600 RPM. You feel it. It almost has like diesel levels of torque in that range. But the only complaint I've really had this week, and I've said it a few times now, is this 8-speed automatic gearbox's tuning at low speeds has a little bit of some interesting funkiness to it. It almost feels like it's a dual clutch in that aspect. It isn't. It's an automatic torque converter, 8-speed, but I think the software and the tuning could be a little bit better there. It almost feels like it's like slipping or something. Otherwise, in every other application we've had this thing in this week, it works really, really great. We have auto stop start. You can defeat up here as well if you don't like that. And under throttle, it feels really great. And I've always really appreciated the Grand Cherokee's handling characteristics. This generation, they've done a lot of cool stuff. They have the double wishbone front suspension. And with this one, with the overall air suspension, the quadri lift air suspension, it does a really great job of keeping itself planted on the road, very neutral in corners, which is, something shocking you may want to see with the Grand Cherokee. And on top of that, you have that adjustability in the ride height with this quadri lift air suspension. But this whole engine is really meant to improve fuel economy overall, while also delivering you what they say is V8 levels of power, which if you go back a few Hemi generations, and you're kind of sort of getting with that improved fuel economy at the same time, all out of just 4 cylinders, which is pretty crazy. This is also a really energy dense engine as well. For just 2 liters of displacement, you're getting quite a lot of power. It's one of the highest energy density engines, 4 cylinders on the market right now. Not the highest, but it's pretty close to that, nomenclature right there, which is pretty cool to see. Some other cool stuff with this engine, in the L, it's rated around 25 miles per gallon on the highway. We saw that this week. We actually got 25.4 miles per gallon on the highway, which is a really awesome thing. Typically, we don't always see the full manufacturer or EPA rated numbers on the highway, but we actually got it and a little bit over, especially with how long and big this vehicle is. If you go for the regular Grand Cherokee, obviously you're going to get a little bit better fuel economy. Though over the course of this whole week of testing, I still can't help but wonder if they're ever going to put in the amazing straight 6 turbo into this vehicle. It fits. It 1,000,000,000% fits under that hood. Now we know there's an SRT variant coming as well, so maybe that will get the straight 6 turbo, or maybe that will get a V8. So maybe another Trackhawk is on the way. So we'll see what's to come. It's been confirmed already by Jeep, so we'll see. But I would like to see even more powertrain options in addition to this 4-cylinder. As great as it is, I still think a lot of people would prefer a little bit more cylinders in this class of just a larger 3-row vehicles than just a pure 4-cylinder. I know a lot of competitors are moving to a 4-cylinder only lineup or a 4-cylinder hybrid. I think for Jeep, as an American brand with that heritage, it may be beneficial to them and for everyone to have some more larger displacement options. This engine doesn't have the best sound as well, I would say. And it reminds me of the Hurricane Straight 6. We've driven that engine now a few times in the Dodge Charger 6-pack, and the Ram as well, and the Ram RHO, and even in the Ram Tungsten. So we've driven it quite a lot. Very familiar with that characteristic sound of the engine. It get that kind of same experience here, just a little bit toned down, minus 2 or 4 cylinders there. But for 4 cylinders, let's go. It doesn't really sound like a raspy, tiny 4-cylinder. It has a very meaty, almost diesel-like throaty sound to it, which is definitely unique, but not overall pleasing, I would say. Also, what's cool, in sport mode, it lowers the vehicle down, which is nice, in the air suspension. If you were in a higher ride height, again, really strong acceleration out of this vehicle, which is great on the highway as well. You're never really going to feel like you are lacking of power. Though the one thing I will note, as we're about to get onto the highway in just a second, is I have had a few instances in the auto mode where I want to change a lane and merge into with more traffic, and you really got to put your foot down into the accelerator for it to kick down the gearbox to get that gear to accelerate you. It's not an issue of power in this vehicle, it's almost an issue with this gearbox tuning. Now, we do have paddle shifters. They're very tiny and mounted just right on the top of the steering wheel here, so you can indeed use that to row your own gears if you would prefer. Honestly, that kind of eliminates that weird little first, second gear issues I've been having this week, but you're gonna take a little bit of a hit on fuel economy if you do choose that route, for sure. Entering the highway here, I'll put this paddle shifter mode to the test. You should be able to activate them really whenever. We have a little indicator up top what gear we're in. Third gear here. See if we can get down to second. Second gear is possible. Floor it. Yeah, this thing pulls with up to 35 PSI of boost, as Jeep claims. This thing is a torquey engine for sure, with the variable geometry turbocharger as well. Again, really a technologically advanced engine, and I can already tell you this thing's going to be across the whole Stellantis USA lineup real soon, and probably into even some other vehicles as well. It's a pretty powerful, torquey engine, has a lot of capability, and this is the first application of it as well, so it's got a long lifespan ahead of itself. On the highway here, this thing really has impressed us this week. As I mentioned, we took it on a over 500-mile road trip this week, and that really is where you're able to shake down a whole vehicle in pretty much every aspect. Now, in our 1 week review, just living with it for 1 week from Jeep, I've had no issues. Other than the little quirks with this gearbox software and this whole center console piece shining directly in my face in some sunlight situations, it's been fantastic. And one of my favorite features I've had this week is the highway driving hands-free assistant. It works just as good as Super Cruise from General Motors or the Blue Cruise from Ford. It's fantastic on the highway, and you just press your cruise control, set your speed, and if you would like, you can turn on the hands-free lane centering mode just by pressing this, and you'll know you're in it with these cool green lights that pop up on the side of the dash here. Hopefully it'll turn on in a second. There we go. We get feedback in our heads-up display as well, and it just works so smooth, so flawlessly. We're also getting great features like lane change assist as well. So all I have to do is just tap our turn indicator right there, and it does a lane change assist. It looks for traffic, so if there's a car passing you on the left hand side when you're making a lane change, it will keep waiting for the lane change until it sees an opening and it's safe to do so. It's not going to just cut off people as well. It will make sure it is safe for you to catch up to that speed and all that stuff. So really great system here. This has made road tripping really great. I can tell you that. Lots of stop and go traffic. This works fantastic. I honestly didn't have to turn it off if it weren't for some construction zones that had no lane lines, and it couldn't really see what was going on with the road. But I have to say, this is potentially really worth the north of $2,000 it costs for this option. Total fuel range can be well north of 500 miles of total fuel range as well, which is really great. So, you know, this thing's really capable. I think this is going to be a cool engine for a lot of people to purchase that are wanting to save a little fuel right now. You know, the 4xe option is gone, the plug-in hybrid, so it's either this or the Pentastar for 2026, the Pentastar V6, and I think this overall is a better choice for a lot of people. And you know, this is the Summit Grand Cherokee. You don't have to get the Summit to get this engine, but this is a really enticing package. You know, we had this exact trim package on our last Grand Cherokee tester a few years ago, and I really enjoyed all the comfort and amenity features, as well as the nice wood, the leather. This one's got massage sheets, ventilated seats, heated seats, and this one goes even further. It's over $70,000, even though the Summit just starts right over $60,000. This one just over $70,000, which, yeah, it's a little high for a Grand Cherokee, but this is a genuinely nice cabin. This is a genuinely nice space to spend your time. It's quiet in here. It's comfortable with the ride. It feels like, and I know it's a little overplayed, you know, word here, an American Range Rover in that sense. I feel like the Grand Cherokee lineup's almost split half and half. You have like the run-of-the-mill Grand Cherokees, and you go a little bit higher at that higher end. It really transforms the whole vehicle experience a little bit, and I still feel that here. Is it a true Range Rover competitor? Absolutely not, but it gets really close, and it really you know, extends itself just above a lot of the competitors to stand out a little bit more. The new Kia Telluride's really nice, for example, but this just has this more almost crafted feel to it. The materials are actual leather in here. You're getting more real metals and stuff. I really do enjoy this overall experience, but this real new highlight here, of course, is this engine, and I would say it's an upgrade. It's nice to have. We'll see how it is long-term with reliability, I'm sure, quite soon. But over this course of the week of testing, it's been great. And of course, for all y'all, thank you for joining us on yet another full tour and review over at Allcarnews. And definitely stay tuned for all of the great content coming on this particular vehicle and more vehicles to come. Cheers.